Hello and welcome to episode 307 of the 77 Club. Harry, start with the socials.
The Wall 77 Club on Facebook and Instagram, at 77 Club Podcast on X. I think we're on more than 307, Sam. I think we've missed a few out somewhere, but not that it matters. Once you get past 300, we should have stopped counting, shouldn't we? But there we go.
Perfect. Jack Williams is here.
We definitely said 306 last week, didn't we? So
it was 306 a week before that as well. We've done two 306s.
Just keep it on 306 forever.
Yeah, homage to Bully. We'll keep it at 306 forever. Right, okay, look. We were saying that we probably needed to kill some time in this episode. So if you do have any questions for us, then I know we do try and get to your comments where we can. But if you've got any questions, drop them in the comment section and we'll do our best to answer them. Otherwise, Harry, let's start with another defeat in the Premier League, this time to Everton at home. Few eyebrows raised, as seems to be the case this season, with the two Buenos coming in, Andre being returned to the starting lineup, but dropping to the bench. Matt Doherty, were you quite surprised with that omission?
No, just before I get on to that, obviously the big story was Strand Larsen, wasn't it? But it does seem like a serious injury, an Achilles injury. So it wasn't just because he was unsettled with the Newcastle stuff. But yeah, on Santi Bueno, I was surprised to see it, but at the same time, I weren't disappointed with it really, because he has played well. When he come on against Bournemouth after we went down to 10, and he played really well against West Ham. And on the day against Everton, I'm sure we'll get onto it, he's probably the best out of the three centre-backs as well in the end. But in terms of the rest of the team, I was very shocked at the front three. I've got to admit, it was a bit like, whoa, Wang for the middle, Menetzi there. Obviously, there were shouts for Fair Lopez to start. You probably could have even started Kalajic, the way he come on against West Ham. I know his fitness is lacking, but glad Andre was back in. The wing backs was brilliant, wasn't it? Chichura and Hugo Bueno. But it don't matter what team you start, if for the first 15 minutes you just piss about and defend like Sunday League players like we did against Bournemouth, the previous Premier League game, you're just going to go 1-0 down, aren't you, early? And we did again, and that's been the problem with us completely, is starting off so bad.
Jack, it's going back to, probably last season, but it's sort of that period of time where we give ourselves an uphill struggle from early on because we concede a goal so early. And, we're almost starting games 1-0 down.
Yeah, when I saw the team sheet, and I think this was sort of echoed throughout our WhatsApp group, wasn't it? I just sort of said, I'm a bit worried here. This could get grim. And then obviously when you watch the first 7 minutes of football, or however long it took for them to score, it was just exactly as I'd feared when I saw the team sheet and thought how they were going to start compared to us. But I don't know what it is, man. There's something just severely wrong, and I think it's building in confidence from the back right through the middle of the team, really, and just being this shaky at starting games. If you defend like a bunch of pricks, we're not going to be able to win the games, and that's what's happening at the moment, because we're letting in 3 goals, 3 goals again, and you look at the games we've had so far. We're shipping far too many to be able to even be slightly competitive, and it's a worry. And you look at some of the players and the senior players, and I know we've called out Totti and Agbadu in previous weeks, but similarly again, like just the way compared to how they were towards the end of last season to now, like I don't know what's happened. Like, is it the fact that they're just down because we're losing players? Is it more? Has changing the wing backs impacted the back three more than we think? Defensively, losing Semedo and Aït-Nouri, I think it's a possibility because they're just such seasoned and experienced Premier League professionals. But it's just embarrassing, really. And then, even no matter how hard you try to fight to get back in the game, and on occasions, to our credit, we did that on Saturday. There was some positives in there again, but we're giving ourselves such an uphill mountain decline from the start, and we can't just keep going behind and expecting to get ourselves back into games and pick up points, especially then if you are in a decent position. And again, we've let in the third goal, which was ultimately the one that killed us. It's just sloppy passing from the back again, and I don't know what you do about it, really. It's just frustrating. But ultimately, when I saw the starting lineup, I was glad that Vitor had seen to change the wing backs, because I think everyone was saying the two things that Jackson and Bueno need to start because they're offering more. But similarly, I was looking at the front line and thinking, I don't know what it offers. And if anything, I think I was surprised that Hwang took his goal so well, and it was such a great assist from Menetzi. But apart from that, in that half, I think it offered very little.
It was a great ball, though, wasn't it, Harry, from Menetzi? I mean, I didn't know if it went out at some point. Obviously, it didn't. But what vision and the spin just to curl it in for Hwang was superb.
Well, yeah, the goal came out of nowhere because first half Everton completely dominated us all over, I thought. So it was a nice surprise to get that goal. And yeah, fantastic ball and a good finish. Hwang is a good finisher. He can't seem to do anything else anymore. He don't seem to offer much else, really. He tries, bless him. But yeah, for the rest of the game, though, Manetzi did frustrate the life out of me. And you lot know how much of a big fan I am of Manetzi. I stick up for him as much as I can. But the fact he lasted the whole game again was a surprise. But yeah, apart from that first half, I thought we were quite lucky to only be 2-1 down. Now, the second goal was almost carbon copy of the first, but it was on the floor instead of in the air. We just weren't clearing our lines again. Even Andre was pissing about at one point on the edge of the box, which is not like him. I thought it was one of his poorer games he's had, especially at the start of this season. But yeah, look, it's all about the substitutions again, isn't it? It was quite similar. It was quite similar to the West Ham game in the week, whereas when we brought all the subs on, we actually, I know we were 3-1 down, but we actually had a bit of a go, got one back and nearly rescued it at the end. But just calamity stuff, and I'm sure we're going to get on to the third goal with Agbadou pissing about again and costing us another goal. But I don't know, man. It don't matter what squad you've got and what players you bring in, if you just defend like that, we've got no chance.
And Jack, what did you think of Andre's performance? Because I mean, Harry's used the word calamity there, and I thought he was pretty calamitous at a couple of points. Obviously, for the Everton second, he was, as Harry says, pissing about with it. He got let off really for the offside for their third goal that was actually chalked off beginning of the second half as well.
Yeah, I know we're calling for him to come back in, but there's mistakes all over the pitch, really. And I don't want to single out Andre because obviously he's been so good for us. But yeah, messing about with it on the top of your box. And then the thing is, if you watch back, actually all three goals, they actually are hilarious. If you watch them back, I mean, the first one, it's just 2 free headers in the box, 7 minutes in. Like, I don't know who it was. I think it was Bueno and whoever the defender was completely lost their man for the first header, and then the same again. The second one is the one you're talking about with Andre, where then Grealish and Dewsbury Hall just start taking the mick, and then there's a bloody dummy, and it's like it's going to be like us playing 5-7 aside on Saturday. It's just hilarious. And then as you called it out for the last one, Agbadou done the same thing again. Like I mentioned it on this podcast last week that at one point under no pressure, the game before, he tries to play a ball out to Doherty, it was, under no pressure to his right-hand side and messes it up. He did the same thing again, and this time he got completely punished for it. And it's just a carbon copy of, like, you can't be making these sorts of mistakes consistently as a Premier League footballer and expect to keep your place, can you? So there's serious problems, and I honestly think that, yeah, it's the middle of the pitch, I think, is the problem, probably all the way from centre-back through occasions to the sitting midfielders, and definitely once you go to the striker, to be honest, because there's not enough there at the moment. So I don't know what to say. It's just a mess, isn't it? Like, I don't know really know. How do you fix that?
How do you fix it, Harry? It sounds like a problem with the spine of the team, which is always a problematic.
Yeah. Well, I think the short-term option is to drop Agbadou completely, and even Totti, I thought he had a really poor game. We've got Krejci who come in, who on the bench, who didn't come on. You can't keep playing like Agbadou is and stay in the team because he is costing us goals. We all want him to get back the form that he had last season, but I think it's just lack of confidence, isn't it? You mentioned the wing-backs, Jack. I mean, Totti Gomez, he misses Ait-Nouri so much because he would get Ait-Nouri would get Totti Gomez out of trouble all the time. He'd be there to get the ball off him, but now he's pissing about. He hasn't got a great relationship with Hugo Bueno or Muller Wolf, so he's just hanging onto the ball way too long, and he's panicking. When he's defending, he's panicking. He just don't look settled, and he's rubbing off on Agbadou by the looks of it. And like I say, Santi Bueno, although he did make a few mistakes, he was probably our most solid performer of the back three on the day, if there even was one. But what's frustrated me the most about the Bournemouth game in this game is if we were on it, settled and up for it, which we're not because of our pre-season's been a joke really in terms of transfers, we could have at least got a few points out of these games. Everton were on a high. They'd just won at their new ground, just won in the Cup. But we scored 2 goals against them. We could have got a result out of that game. They were there for the take. We proved we could score against them. All we had to do, again, like I said, against Bournemouth, is just not be idiots for the first 20 minutes. Keep it tight, keep it solid, and give yourself a chance. We knew Grealish was going to be on fire. He ended up getting a few more assists again. It's just annoying to watch. And if we had a settled team, which we may have in 10 games' time, we'll be competing and beating the likes of Everton, hopefully. But it's very, very worrying signs. And Vitor Pereira, I love him, and I'm not going in on Vitor. There's bigger problems at the top. in terms of Fosun and Jeff Shee. But again, I question his starting lineup. And his substitutions were fantastic again, to be fair to him. He got that right because he nearly got us the draw, but his starting lineup, like it was against Bournemouth, dropping Andre, questions have to be asked for a few decisions he's made there.
Some really, really good points in there. And I think what we don't think about when we don't have Aït-Nouri is the trickery that he did have and the way that he could get himself out of those situations. And we haven't got that outlet anymore. But the substitutions did do well. Jack, your mate, Rodrigo Gomez, do you want to talk about a little bit about him and also Fer Lopez?
He's Harry's mate, really. Obviously, Harry's one of Harry's favourite players, isn't it? So I was very excited for Harry, really, more than him when he got that goal. But this is the situation we're in now. We saw it in the cup game, and I think some of the fringe players are coming on and putting in performances and cameos that's actually putting them in contention to start. And this is the thing that I think, to Vitor's credit, he saw it with the wing backs, as we mentioned earlier. But it seems to me like the likes of Fer Lopez and the likes of Rodrigo Gomez, they're coming on and they're actually having impacts on games. And to me, it actually looks like they care as well. That's the thing. They actually have a bit of urgency about them. And they're like Fer Lopez, I think he did more in 10 minutes than the rest of the starting front three did in the entire game when he came on. I was very, very impressed with him. And he was just always there. He was always looking for the ball. And he knew straight away as soon as he came on, he had a bit of time and space. And he had the beating of some of those Everton players. Everton, as you say, I think they were there for the taking because they started to panic a little bit only once we made those substitutions and they realised that, hang on, this is not going to be an easy ride for the rest of the game. So I think based on his performance in the cup and that against who did we play?
Everton.
Everton. The Fer Lopez is in contention now, and if he should be knocking on the manager's door and saying, "Look what I did in such a short space of time compared to what the so-called established starters are doing." And it doesn't matter how old he is. Like I think he deserves a chance. But Rodrigo Gomez as well was the question. I'll let Harry comment on that. But he took his goal well. To be fair, it was a good finish.
Yeah, it's weird because against West Ham in the Cup, I was like, right, Chachua's the one. Because Rodrigo Gomez scored, to be fair to him, in the West Ham game. But then Chachua come on and completely changed it, got the assist for the winning goal from Strand Larsen. But then it was like roles reversed this game, whereas I thought Chachua did all right first half, but then he kind of started making a few errors. Then when Rodrigo Gomez come on, he was fantastic and obviously got the goal, should have got the equaliser. I love him because he gives 100% every time he's on that pitch. He's full of energy. He's always playing with passion and like gets the crowd going. So for me, as it stands, I know I'm quite biased towards Rodrigo Gomez. I think he should be starting as our right wing back. I know that's harsh on Chachua and it probably won't happen, but I think he's proven two goals in 2 games if you count the Carabao Cup, and he was the big difference along with Fer Lopez. And do you know what? I want to give a shout to Bellegarde as well. I actually thought he was quite positive when he come on, and shout out to Moller Wolf getting his first assist. He set up the Rodrigo Gomez goal, which was good for him because obviously he struggled a bit, and Hugo Bueno has been the shining star. But Blažić as well, he caused problems. It's a shame. I mean, I don't know if it's been official yet, but he's going out on loan, which is very annoying. But yeah, I love Rodrigo Gomez. And yeah, on the positives come out of that game was the impact of Rodrigo Gomez and Fer Lopez, definitely.
I completely agree. I mean, Fer Lopez came on and played that brilliant ball out to Hugo Bueno, Jack, and there was a shout for a penalty. For me, it's a penalty all day. I don't know what you thought. Now, what did you think about that?
That's a weird one, that is, because it's one of those where if he'd rolled around on the floor like a brick, then I think it would have got given straight away. And it just shocks me, the fact that I mean, there were some weird VAR decisions or lack of decisions this whole weekend, weren't there, throughout a few of the games. But it's one of those where I think if he actually is a little bit less honest and goes down holding his leg, then they're going to have to the referee will have to make a decision then. But he does appeal for it. He's like, he's taken my leg there, and anywhere else on the pitch, that's a foul, definitely. But the referee has a decent view of it, in my opinion. And then for VAR to look at it and just wave it away again, like I'm a little bit stumped by that. But yeah, apparently I think the rules are now in football, it's only a penalty if you get taken out in the box and you make a scene.
What did you think, Harry?
Yeah, well, at the time, it kind of passed me by. But then seeing it back on social media and people really highlighting it, yeah. If he jumps on the floor, rolls around, it's given. It is... it's just a shame, isn't it? Like, and we're probably, I don't know if we're going to go off subject. We were talking about the Fulham game, weren't we? Yeah, Jack, with VAR in that game. It's ruining it. Yeah, it's ruining it. But yeah, we've had two now, haven't we? Really, we had the red card one against Bournemouth as well. So, just at the same time, though, saying that if we would have got that equaliser late on, I don't think we deserved it. It had kind of papered over a lot of cracks, and I think on the run of play, I think Everton did deserve the victory. And saying that, you look at the stats, we had quite a lot of shots, but I don't know if that was just all the big flurry of shots at the end.
I thought we were really, really unlucky, though, just to round off on Rodrigo Gomez's sort of cameo, I suppose you'd call it. It's such fine margins at this level, isn't it? And that chance that he 94th, is it, minute, Harry? I think it was, where he just put it wide and you thought, oh, that was the chance.
Yeah. No, it was gutting, but even though when it dropped to him, I just never felt like he was going to score it, weirdly. And then obviously he drags it. And good from Bellegarde, good shot, wasn't it? But yeah, it would have been nice. But weird. To be fair, the atmosphere did build a bit, didn't it, when we got the second? But the people have been going on about Fields of Gold, haven't they? And how flat that's been, and they want that moved off from the songs when we walk in, which is being spoke about. But very dead atmosphere for a big game like that. To be fair, against Everton in a winnable game, and a big game going into the international break. But we've got to make Molineux a fortress, haven't we? Because Sunderland now have won 2 at home, and the bottom 3 are already winning. Their atmosphere looks incredible, and we need to somehow make it a fortress. But unfortunately, I don't think we will. But oh my God, check the donations, Sam. We're going to be rich.
Wolfsby and 123 North Street, thank you very much for your donations. It helps the channel greatly. Or we can buy us some beer. That's probably what's most likely going to happen. Was there a player that stood out for you, Harry? We don't normally do a man of the match or try to sort of avoid it when we lose games, but I sort of think that there's probably some shouts for some Wolves players. I mean, we could talk about Jack Grealish, and it was really the Jack Grealish show. And I mean, he must, I guess, have the 2026 World Cup at the back of his mind, and he sort of ran the show. I think we let him do it for the most part. But any Wolves players that stood out?
Yeah, for Everton, obviously, I'd probably say Grealish. But Wolves, it's got to be Rodrigo Gomez for me, because he got the goal and he come on, and the other contenders obviously fair. Lopez for starters, not really, not really. João Gomez give 100% again, as he always does. Got stuck in with a lot of crunching tackles. But yeah, we should get them £10 and send them to Jeff Shee. He might start pumping more money in. So.
He'd take him as well. Jack, is there anyone for you? Are you on Harry's Rodrigo Gomez escapade?
I think it's a bit strange to give man of the matches to substitutes, but I agree. I would have said Fair Lopez, and that was before hearing that Harry picked Rodrigo Gomez, because I think they did change the game, really, and we actually looked like a threat after being in a position where we ultimately looked dead and buried, and dead and buried because of our own incompetence, really, our own just sloppiness up and down the pitch and playing balls out. So yeah, I think you've got to give it to the young players. And the positive thing is, like I said earlier, it looks like they've got a bit of fight in them, and they actually do want to be on the pitch, and they want to be receiving the ball, and they want to get us out of this mess. And that's more than can be said for a lot of the more established players at the moment, from what you can see in terms of body language and performances. One question, actually, because I saw a bit of a debate about this. Jose Sarr, was he at fault for any of the stuff, do we think? Because we forgot to mention it last week, but I think that against Bournemouth, Jose Sarr was probably our best player. I think he went under the radar a bit for how good his performance was. But I saw there was a little bit of a few murmurs about some of his positioning. But ultimately, I didn't think he could have done much, really. But I wanted to get your thoughts.
I'd say first 2, no. A slight debate for the third, but it was an absolute rocket bar on him, wasn't it? Slightly harsh. Maybe he could have got a slight hand to it and tipped it onto the bar and it not go in, but it was a snapshot drilled, flew into the roof of the net. That's kind of harsh. And he hit it early as well, didn't he? So if out of the 3, the only one I could say, but it's very harsh, is the third one maybe. But I've got no problems with Sarr. I mean, now he don't piss about with his feet. Yeah, now he's stopped pissing about with his feet since Vitor's come in. I've got no problem with Sarr. I think he's a decent Premier League goalkeeper, a very good shot stopper. As you mentioned, against Bournemouth, one of his saves, I think it was second half, absolutely wonderful save, top corner. So you can't blame Sarr. He's just a defending. You give him no chance. Give him no chance, our defenders on the day.
I think for me, on that point, I'd say I'd expect him to come and get anything that's looped up in the air in the 6-yard box, which the first goal certainly was, which I thought he'd come and get it. But maybe I'm being hard. I don't personally rate him. So I don't know if that puts me in the minority or not. So I'm probably going to pick faults where it's probably not due, you know. I was a big fan of Patricio, but I'm living in the past. So, you know, I don't think we've got anyone better out of the goalkeepers that we have. He's certainly better than Bentley, and I'd say he's better than Johnston as well.
Johnson struggled against West Ham, and he got a bit of stick for a couple of their goals in the West Ham game. But again, probably harsh. Like headers, both headers weren't they quite close, but I've seen him getting a lot of stick. They think he should have saved at least one of them. But yeah, for me, Sarr over Johnston. I still find it very weird that Johnston even came to the club, and I'm even more surprised that he stuck around again, because I thought he would go this summer.
Let's have a look at the transfers. Move on to those now. The list of confirmed permanent transfers. Obviously, John Arias, 15 million Fluminense. Jackson Chachua, around about 10 million from Verona. Fer Lopez, pushing 20 million quid from Celta Vigo. David Moller-Wolfe, 10 million from AZ Alkmaar. Strand Larsen, of course, we forget, 23 million pounds from Celta Vigo. Seems like an absolute steal considering what Newcastle were offering for him. And Tolu Arukadare has joined today from Genk, and we're not sure how to pronounce it yet. I'm sure that will come out. How did I do, Harry, on the pronunciation?
I think that's spot on, Sam, to be fair.
Excellent, right. Perfect. Yeah. Well, I make that about 115 million quid spent, and then we're adding on 6 million quid for Ladislav Krajci, which could turn into a permanent move for another probably 20 million pounds, I reckon. And the outgoings are 130. So, Harry, you've called this video, was the Wolves transfer window actually that bad? Do you want to have a pop at answering that question?
I was trying to make the title quite positive, because I got a bit of stick on a video I did myself about this, and I was really angry on deadline day. Because I was angry because, look, don't get me wrong, yes, they've paid money and they've brought players in, but they're completely abandoned the midfield area. When Vitor Pereira said after his post-match press conference after Everton, he said he wanted a midfielder, maybe two if we could, like another number 10 as well. That didn't happen. Obviously, we know about all the Josh Brownhill stuff. The free agent didn't want to come in the end, but we had so long to sort that, to get a backup midfielder. And the fact that we've let Tommy Doyle and Boubacar Traore go without even having anyone lined up is amateurish for me. I just think that's terrible. I know Vitor didn't fancy Tommy Doyle, but he's a homegrown player, and it's just mad that we haven't got him around for backup. But in terms of the signings, look, we have technically replaced the big boys that have left, but we've replaced them with people who, most of them, apart from John Arias, you could say are potential. John Arias, you'd say senior, but he struggled to bed in. And people have been making the point, and it's a really good point. The likes of Mateus Cunha, when he first come, it took him a good year to get going. He couldn't hit a barn door under Lopetegui, and then he obviously took off under Gary O'Neill. But if John Arias takes 12 months to bed in, and then all the other people who have replaced Semedo, who've replaced Aït-Nouri, who've replaced Sarabia, you could argue that's Fer Lopez, Chachua and Muller-Wolfe. It's just not good enough. We'll go down. If they're not bedded in, they're struggling, and they're not on form, we're in big trouble. And we've got the African nations coming up, African Cup of Nations at the end of December. And that's Tolu going, Agbadu, Menetzi, Chihuahua, which don't really matter. He's obviously a bit of a backup. And I forget the other one now. Who's the other one going? Menetzi, Agbadu, Chachua. There's one more I'm forgetting. A big player I'm forgetting.
Agbadu may as well go now, to be fair.
Right. Yeah, Agbadu, Menetzi, Chachua and Tolu are the main ones. But what Vitor Pereira was arguing was we need cover in every position for when they go, because that could be a vital part of the season, especially if we're struggling. So I stick with my 4 out of 10 rating for the window. If we'd have got a couple of midfielders in, because we've got 2 homegrown spots left in the squad. We've got a 23-man squad. The non-homegrown's filled up. That's why Kalajic is gone. I personally would have let Hwang go and kept Kalajic. That's another little bit of a I had, but it's a big risk replacing our main stars that contributed to so many of our goals last season. We only come 16th with potential and people who may need to bed in.
Jack, how would you rate the transfer window? I think you probably put it at about a 4 last week.
It's 3 or 4. It's just very, very disappointing, really. I think overall, with any transfer window, you want to look at your squad at the end of last season and the squad now and say, has it got any better? I think the answer there is a resounding no. Obviously, we've had to ship on a couple of our best assets, but I also think the way that we've prepared for it has just been really, really naive, considering this is our 7th season in the Premier League. And the really frustrating thing for me as well is the fact that we're an established Premier League team now on paper. We've been around here for quite many seasons now, and we just can't attract the same level of players that similar teams can. And we never go to another Premier League team and take one of their good assets. All we do is we try and bring them in from Portugal on the cheap, and then eventually another club will come along and take them in a few years, whether that be, Man City or Liverpool or whoever it might be, or nearly Newcastle. And that's a really frustrating thing when you look at teams who I think on paper will give them a game every day. We're not that far away from them in terms of recent league positions and these sorts of things, but there's no way we'd have ever got Jack Grealish or these sorts of players.
That's what I mean.
Or some of the players that Villa have been able to pull. And that's a really disappointing thing. It's like we're just happy with this level of like lower mid-table mediocrity and being a feeder club. And that's the really frustrating thing for me, because I think there's the foundations for some real opportunity here. And it just doesn't seem like we've got the appetite. And the reason is wages. That is the reason, I think. I honestly don't think that that we'd even be involved in some of these conversations for some of these players who do become available, because we won't be willing to take the risk on breaking the wage structure, because we did that already when we brought in Moutinho and these sorts of players, and we've been trying to get it down ever since then. So I think that their past inexperience is ultimately making them a lot more cautious now. And it's just like, it would be great to get one of players of those caliber, because it would just energize the fans a little bit as well, rather than who are we signing? It's a player I've never heard of from Nigeria. It's a player I've barely heard of from Brazil. And is he going to be any good? Don't know. No one knows anything about him. It's that's the thing that's a little bit disappointing for me.
If you don't count the Strand Larsen deal as well, if you count that as last summer, I know technically it's not, I think we've gained about 13 million as well. Like, we've made a profit of about 13 million. And I think the frustrating thing is, for me, I don't think it's Johnny Phillips, a Sky reporter. I don't think it's his fault. I don't think it was intentional, but he released a Substack article and then went on BBC WM the day after, and he come out with the famous line, "The penny has dropped." Because he obviously was speaking to people within the club. I think this was around the time Tete got appointed. And that story and all that penny has dropped line convinced a lot of Wolves fans to renew their season tickets. And I think a lot of Wolves fans now feel a bit betrayed, because yes, we have spent money, but we've gone weaker. And we haven't got everyone that even Vitor Pereira wanted. And it's the same old story every single summer. And then you'll have a lot of fans who are quite positive, which I get. I like it when fans are positive, glass half full and all that. Well, I say, it's only 3 games in. Judge it in 10. Judge it when the window closes. Judge it when we get to Christmas. We say this every single season. And for the first time ever, even last season, right, because we were scoring a lot of goals, I thought, we'll get out of this. We'll just get a manager and he'll shore the defence up a bit. We'll get out of it. And it happened. This year, I'm worried, because we're struggling. I know we scored 2 against Everton and a few against West Ham, but we are struggling to create as much as we were. So I just think that's huge problems. And we've got the free agent market still to dive into. We've got 2 homegrown spaces left. I mean, there's the likes of Dele Alli and Oxlade-Chamberlain, people like that, but obviously it's desperation territory, isn't it? That's like Diego Costa we got a few years ago. It's that sort of signing. But I'm just so angry at Jeff Shee, man. Like, that bloke, I've lost all patience with him. Domenico Tete hasn't covered himself in glory either since he's come in, to be honest. And I do feel a little bit sorry for Vitor Pereira. But Gary O'Neill was kind of in the same situation. They left him short of a centre-back, but he was fucking clueless. But I'm just fed up of it, completely fed up of it. And I keep saying every year, I'm not renewing next year, but I always do. But in a way, I can see why fans feel a bit conned into renewing this season. I do.
100%. Jack, I bring you in there.
Great window, though, by the way. Did I make that clear? Brilliant window.
You can just see the trajectory, can't you? And we got away with it last year, and arguably maybe a bit, year before as well, because the teams that have come up have gone straight back down and not really competed. It's not going to happen again this year. You can already see that we can't be relying on other teams. We've got to get ourselves out of it off our own backs. And overall, we've just not seen enough so far. And the players that we've been brought in, obviously, you're never going to get players who are fully like straight away Aït-Nouri's and Cunha's. We know that. But even the glimpses of potential that I've seen or not seen, like Muller-Wolf for Aït-Nouri, no. John Arias, like I don't think he's done anything yet in a Wolf shirt. I'm actually really disappointed because he was the one that I was probably most excited about before the season started, and I've just seen nothing. I know he was saying it takes time to bed in, but we haven't got time. If we're going to do this model of going into bringing in unproven players to replace established Premier League ones, we don't have that luxury if we're only going to shop in the market of developing players from abroad. So that's a concern for me. I know it took João Gomes a year as well from Brazil, from the same year to actually come good. But we don't have that luxury this time, and we're going to be ultimately, from what I've seen so far, I think we're actually going to be relying on some of the players who were on Wolves' books, but maybe not even actually playing last season, the likes of the Hugo Buenos and these sorts of things to come in and actually get us out. So it's overall, it's a poor window. And I don't just mean that in terms of the ins and outs. I mean it in terms of the way it's been organised and the fact that we knew we were losing Semedo, Aït-Nouri and Cunha. Everyone knew it at the end of last season. They knew it in bloody March. This was probably going to happen. And we've just been so unprepared with actually getting players in early, bedding them in. And even now, like towards the last day of the window, we're panicking around trying to find English free agents and stuff or homegrown players because we haven't properly prepared. It's just been all over the place. And we won't keep getting away with this. And the last couple of seasons that we have with this model, and it's only going to end one way ultimately, and it's relegation. And I think that this season, the way it started, it's going to get very, very like dire very quickly, and people's patience is not going to be there.
It's strange, isn't it, Harry? We talk about Josh Brownhill, who left Burnley at the end of last season to become a free agent, doesn't want to come to Wolves. I mean, why do you think that is? Do you think it would just be about game time that he couldn't be promised, or do you just think that he could go and make more cash in Saudi Arabia?
There's a lot of rumours that he said he didn't believe in the Wolves project, but they're not confirmed. But when your chairman comes out and says, don't support Wolves if you want to win trophies and all that, we know the quote. That wouldn't surprise me because, as we've mentioned, we've had about Uche turned us down. Everything was agreed. Then he's gone to Palace. Harvey Elliott was linked. So I don't think he was ever coming to Wolves, but he was linked early on. He's gone to Villa. We know the big right back from Juventus, Savona, we were linked with, said he wanted to stay at Juventus and rather than come to Wolves. He's gone to Forest. We know what happened with Mark Pubel. So there's a good 4 or 5 players that just snubbed us. Blind's another one. Adley went to Bournemouth. We were linked with him. Adley went to Bournemouth and he looks quite good for them. So that would never have happened when we first come up. The players we were attracting because we were showing ambition and promise, and we had an identity, and we were fighting to try and break the mould and get to Europe. And we're never going to see that again under Fosun and Jeff Shee, because as we know, they just got a bit shocked of how hard it is to maintain that level, and they've put them to sell to buy. That's what they're doing. Simple as that. That's what they're going to do forever. And our life as Wolves fans now is just hoping we stay up. Our little buzz we're going to get every season is if we come 17th and survive, and we're going to be celebrating like mad when it happens. We'll all be happy. Maybe the odd cup run, maybe. But the days of us pushing towards Europe, in my opinion, are long gone. And there's rumours that Andre's not happy because of the lack of ambition who we've let go. Strand Larsen's head's turned now. He will be a professional, I think. And I think he will crack on. But when he gets to January, I think it'll kick off again and he'll want to go to someone bigger. Definitely will next summer, because every player we've got that are really good and they're shining lights, like Andre, João Gomes, Strand Larsen, I would have said Agbadu before the way he started, they'll be gone. They'll be sold. And we know how easy we sell players. Jeff Shee sells players like that. He's like, yeah, go on. And like with Aït-Nouri, they've admitted that they sold Aït-Nouri too cheaply because they felt the pressure from City because they wanted to get it done before the Club World Cup. That is ridiculous. Fair enough. They held out for the money for Fabio Silva. That was one good sale, I would say. But this is who we are, and we've got clowns running the show, in my opinion.
Clowns are taking over the circus, Jack.
Yeah, I was convinced when Strand Larsen was not left out the squad, and he's apparently had a knock on Friday. I thought that we all know what this means. This means that he's going to Newcastle. It's going to be a done deal. We're going to lose to Everton, and then that transfer will go through on Sunday or Monday, and it will be an absolute meltdown. So, I mean, it's positive that we have managed to keep him, but it's a lot of pressure on him as well, I think, at the same time to come in and perform. And I know we saw a glimpse of it in the cup game against West Ham, but but we'll see. And this is my problem really. Up and down the team, we're going to end up putting a lot of pressure on a few individuals who are going to sort of carry us. And I don't think it's fair, because I think there was a fair bit of deadwood in the squad already at the end of last season. And my worry is that we've just still got a lot of deadwood, and we've replaced some of our shining lights with more deadwood. But time will tell. But the problem is just the way we've gone about these few games. It's just there's questions about everything really. There's questions about the individual players. There's questions about some of the managers' team selections. There's questions about the board and whether we've actually got the reinforcements to be able to compete properly. And, you know, we put up some good fights, but like, again, unless something happens with the defence, it's going to be a really, really long season. So I think whoever this new guy is, the new centre back, don't know anything about him, straight in there because like the performances we've seen from the centre backs who are there, they need something. They need some sort of like push or some sort of kicking the balls really, because it's just a mess.
What I will say is I really liked Tolu, the new striker. I really liked his interview. I don't know if you watched it. He's quite a likeable character, breath of fresh air. So hopefully these new lads, if they're not doing it on the pitch, I hope they can inject a bit of energy and positivity into the team. And just to play devil's advocate as well, there probably will be people listening to this shouting, listening. There are people, I don't know what the percentage is. There are Wolves fans that are like, I'm not worried. We've replaced the ones that have gone. Yeah, we're a bit short in midfield, but Krejci can come in and play there. He's versatile. Manetzi can drop in. Belgar can drop in if anything happens to Gomez and Andre. We've still got the free agent to look for. Don't worry, you're all panicking too early. We were 7 points top of the league the one year. I think we mentioned it the other week. And we ended up getting relegated. So the first 3 games mean nothing. This is me just playing devil's advocate because people are saying that. And I get personal, like, abusive messages to me personally about how negative I am. So just thought I'd share the other side. And that's what some Wolves fans are saying. Whether that's delusion, I think it's borderline delusion. But just thought I'd put that out there as well.
I think we're all deluded, to be honest, to put ourselves through this every week. But it means a good time to... good. Yeah.
I'm all for happy clapping, but I think the signs there are quite worrying now. And I think I spoke, like, talking to my friends who are non-Wolves fans in the past, like, obviously they don't watch Wolves anywhere near as much as I do. And for the last couple of years, they've sort of said straight away, "Oh, you're going down this year? Are you going down this year?" And I've said, "No, we're not." I've seen even when we're like towards the bottom, I've seen enough to say that we've got enough to get out of this and compete. And that's been true for the last two seasons, really. This time, when they say it, I'm actually a little bit concerned because you don't stay up in this league if you ship goals like you have been, and that's the really worrying thing. I just don't know what's happened to our defence, and unless something changes, we just need to go back to basics and grind out a 0-0 or something to get our confidence up. But this is the worrying thing.
Yeah, I looked at the team last year. I mean, as much as I hate Cunha, I looked at Cunha, I looked at Ait-Nouri, I looked at Agbadou, I looked at Agbadou when he come in. I looked at João Gomez and Andre. I thought, there's no way this team can go down. We've just got a clueless bloke and Gary O'Neill in charge. This year, I look at it. John Arias has been like a ghost. He's hardly showed anything. Strand Larsen is the man that is the only person I can look at and go, he'll be the one to keep us up. Apart from that, especially going forward, Fer Lopez has shown signs, but it's a lot of pressure on a kid.
Yeah. Do you think there's any chance that there's a place for Strand Larsen and this new striker to play at the same time?
Yes, I like that. People keep going on about it, and I really like the look of that because John Arias is more of a number 10 centrally. He's been put out on the left a lot, and I think he's wasted out there. He don't seem to look comfortable. So put John Arias in the number 10, a bit like towards the end of the West Ham game. We had John Arias in behind, or you could put Fer Lopez there and have 2 big lads up there. It was Strand Larsen and Kalajdzic, wasn't it? When we caused havoc against West Ham and got the 2 late goals. I would love that. Tolu and Strand Larsen up there, either Fer Lopez or John Arias in behind. It's like a 3-4-1-2 in it, or a 5-2-1-2. I love that idea. Whether Vitor Pereira will do it, I don't know. But I just want to ask, I don't know if you were going to ask this, Sam. Would you take Dele Alli or Oxlade-Chamberlain? Because a lot of people are turning their nose at that. Oxlade-Chamberlain's riddled of injuries, and Dele Alli's obviously had personal struggles. He's only 29, but I've never seen a drop-off in a superstar like it.
He said that the 2020 was it 2026 World Cup was his
screen.
2018, wasn't it? Was it 2018 when he was brilliant?
Yeah, 2018. He was screensaver. That's tickled me. That
no, that was a thing, wasn't it? Because did you not hear the story? Dele Alli He said he set an alarm every day. I think it was Dele Alli. Someone in the comments
yeah,
saying
it
it
is.
wasn't.
Yeah, it is.
But he put a reminder on his phone every day, which was a buzz, and his alarm says 2026 World Cup. And then since then, he's left his club in Italy. He's played for him once and got sent off in that game.
Excellent. Yeah, so I think.
So yeah, well, I'll take him. Yeah.
I think if Oxlade-Chamberlain or Dele Alli is the answer, then I'm not really sure what the question is. Not for me. I think, and a couple of people, the Wolvesy in the chat, and Darren, I think quite early on in this, was saying, why, Harry, are we sending Tommy Doyle and Boubacar Traore out on loan, especially with the former, because he is homegrown?
Yeah, well, apparently the answer to that is that Vitor Pereira just didn't rate Tommy Doyle, so that's why he left early. Boubacar Traore, he's the profile of a Vitor player, isn't he? Big, athletic. So, but I think it was just because he'd been so injured, they just thought send him back to his former club, and I think they believe they would get a midfielder in. But how many times have we done this over the windows where we've just got rid of people impulsively and just done it and then not replaced them? It's just so funny. Like the Kilman, wasn't it? Was it the Kilman the last summer or the summer before that? And we just didn't replace him because Mosquera was coming back and then he got crocked. Was that last year or the year before? They all merge into one, don't they? Like Neto and Kilman. But yeah, I don't get that. That's probably the biggest mistake we've made. Obviously, there is positive. Strand Larsen staying and the Fabio Silva money we got. But every time I try and be positive, I have to like really force it. So.
No, yeah, you're right. To be fair, let's move on to the international break. 15 of the first team will be joining up with national teams this week for the latest round of international action. That's the most that have ever been away for international duty at Wolves. So let's go through them. Having switched allegiances early this year, former France under-21 international Bellegarde has received his first senior call-up for, do you know who?
Haiti.
It is Haiti. They face Honduras and Costa Rica. John Arias and Yusa Mosquera have both been called up by Colombia for their qualification games against Bolivia and Venezuela. Santi Bueno is also in South American qualification with Uruguay as his country faced games at home to Peru and away in Chile. In African qualification, Tolu is with Nigeria for their matches against Rwanda and South Africa. And Chichua has been selected by Cameroon for their fixtures versus Eswatini and Cape Verde. Agbadou is with the Ivory Coast for games against Burundi and Gabon, and Marshall Manetsi and Chirua, as Harry mentioned earlier, are in the Zimbabwe squad for their qualifiers against Benin and Rwanda. Over in European qualification, Ladislav Krejci has been called up by the Czech Republic. He'll play against Montenegro, as well as a friendly with Saudi Arabia. David Moller-Wolfer is in Norway for their games at home to Finland and Moldova. And Strand Larsen was initially called up by Norway, but has withdrawn from international duty, which kept him out of the game against Everton. Matt Doherty and Jose Sarr will also be hoping for international this week with Republic of Ireland and Portugal, respectively. In the same qualification group, both Ireland and Portugal face matches with Hungary and Armenia this week. And finally, in the junior categories, Fer Lopez is with the Spanish under-21s. For their Euro. Go on.
Did you see what happened with Fer Lopez?
No.
What?
He was with the under-21s, but their manager, the Spain manager, called him over to train with the first team because he was impressed with him.
Oh.
There you go.
Well, I'll let you. Yeah. I mean, if you saw him when he came on the other day, I can understand that, certainly. Euro under-21 qualification games against Cyprus and Kosovo. Enzo Gonzalez has been selected in Paraguay's squad for this month's FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Chile. I mean, good to see him back on a football pitch potentially. Really, really nasty injury last season, wasn't it?
Just on that World Cup, Pedro Lima has obviously just gone to Porto on loan. He's been dropped from the Brazil Under-20s, apparently, which is obviously terrible for him because I think his whole reason for coming to Wolves was to stick in that team and try and break into the Brazil first team, but because he's hardly played, he's lost his place and off on loan to Porto, which we have probably been knocking around the Porto B team. Just don't make sense, does it?
Has this international break, Jack, come at a good or bad time for Wolves? I mean, we always say you don't really want to go into an international break having lost, but is this would it be in a good chance for them to maybe have a little bit of a pre-season together, especially the people that have come in quite late in the window?
I think everybody who watches football hates this international break because it's ridiculous. The fact that we've played 3 league games and then straight away everyone's flying off around the world to do what they've got to do. And Yeah, I don't think it is good for us because there's 2 players there that you listed that have only just joined the club and they've held up a shirt, signed their papers, and then straight away they're off training with their international sides. And I don't see how that can be good. No, it's just a very frustrating international break, which really just leads off the back of the transfer window closing. I think the whole thing needs rethinking, to be honest, and it's a bit frustrating. It's probably good for the fact that Strand Larsen's got a bit of time to recover. Bad for Norway, though, because they'd started really well in their group, if memory serves me right. So losing Strand Larsen for these games is a big blow to them because I think they were top.
They haven't got a very good striker to replace him either, have they?
I don't think so. They'll have to call upon Erling Haaland. Harry, what do you think? I mean, above all else, we do see these international games as like annoying, and the fact that it's sort of broken up the pace and the excitement around the Premier League returning and stuff. But it must be absolutely knackering for players, especially if you're jumping on a plane, coming and signing a deal, doing interviews, contracts, finding out where your peg is, and then you're off to the arse end of nowhere for some international games.
Well, Tolu said, didn't he, ain't fully fit, and he's hoping to use it as a bit of fitness. I've seen Fair Lopez interviews, and he said like it's probably good because it gives us time to settle, and everyone does a settle back at Compton. But then no one's fucking there, are they? Everyone's on international duty, so yeah, maybe a bit of confidence, get a few wins for their internationals, come back, all gel. But then we've got bloody Newcastle, haven't we, to come back to, which is not an easy game. I've never this has got to be the worst international break, hasn't it? Like Jack mentioned, it's just you get going and bang, you're stopped in your tracks straight away. Although there is a much bigger game going on the weekend, isn't there? The 7-a-side tournament. So no, but it on a serious note, it's very annoying. And I'd scrap this one, but they never will, will they?
No, and then there's another one in October, isn't there? Memory. So it's just it all seems a bit stop-start, and Club World Cup. Previously, it really is non-stop. Let's have a look at the new dates confirmed for Wolves' September meetings with Everton and Spurs. We've got Everton third round of the Carabao Cup on Tuesday, the 23rd of September. The kickoff is 7:45. Tickets for that match, £15. Is that well priced, Jack?
It's the same as what they were for West Ham, wasn't it? So they can't really change it because it's the same game again, isn't it? But it's just different Premier League opposition at home. So I think once they'd said the first one was £15, they've got to do the same thing again. I think both of them are too much because really it's just an uninteresting game, isn't it? I know the West Ham game turned out to be quite entertaining, so maybe that'll drag a few more in. But you saw how empty it was, and I think it'll be a similar thing again. Particularly the fact that we might not have even got a point in the league by the time we play that game. So,
Harry, justified £15, or are you on Jack's side? You're looking at maybe a tenner?
Yeah, I'd get it down as low as possible. The South Bank looked quite full against West Ham, but very patchy for the rest of the ground. But just get it. It's like a boring fixture, isn't it? Like you mentioned, it's just another Premier League team we've just played. A game that Everton will probably go for the cup, to be fair, but a game we'll probably want to do without, especially if we keep losing in the league. But I think lower. I think go lower. Tenner, maybe tenner for adults. Let the kids in free or something.
Did anyone see Grimsby and their Carabao Cup run? So they had fielded what turned out to be an ineligible player because they signed him to the club at 1 minute past the deadline. So where do you go from here? Because I suppose if it was the other way around and it was Man United that had gone through, we'd all probably be up in arms. What's your thoughts on that, Jack?
Sorry.
No, go because I hadn't seen that story. I thought you were just talking about it in general. But
it's a 20 grand fine from as well, isn't it? I bet that's a bit of a dent to them in League Two. It happened to Man United. 20, that's a piss in the wind, isn't it? 20 grand. But I've seen some Man United fans saying that they should be let through and they should throw Grimsby out for it, which is ridiculous. Wow. But it's just pathetic, isn't it? 1 minute past the deadline and a big fine like that. It's a massive fine for them. Let's be honest. If it's the other way around, there would have been uproar, I reckon. There'd have been a lot more said about it. There'd have been like, get Man United out of the competition, which is obviously what Man United fans are saying about Grimsby. But great night, by the way. I loved it when Cunha missed his penalty. That was the highlight of the
fantastic
highlight of the night. I love
that. The Wolves Everton game in the Carabao Cup it's going to be on Sky Sports Plus as well. So probably an even better reason for people to go.
You mentioned the Spurs games move back to Saturday because of the Champions League, 8 o'clock. I think it's terrible how they move these games so late. I know we've spoken about it before, but I've got a ticket for Newcastle, and if that obviously I've got the whole weekend planned to go up there for it on the Saturday afternoon. If that got moved to a Sunday, like today or yesterday, whenever it was announced, you just fucked, didn't you? So I bet there's so many fans that booked hotels or booked travel for Sunday to get down to Tottenham, and then now it's moved to Saturday 8:00. It's just they just don't care about the fans anymore, do they? Let's be honest.
No, because you're not realistically getting on the last train home with an 8:00 kickoff.
You've got to stay in London, haven't you, if you go down to that, unless you drive straight back.
Yeah, Jack, I know you've had your say on this sort of thing. I mean, is the Tottenham move the right amount of time to leave it? You know, it's pushing sort of 3 weeks.
It's all very short notice, and obviously working on the basis that it was going to be. To be honest, like from my selfish point of view, I think I'd rather it be on a Saturday than a Sunday, just in general. The problem here is the fact that it's just the notice involved, isn't it? And the fact it's an 8:00 is a bit of a pain. So it's just the way it is now, isn't it? Like it's just the where we are with the way football works is you can't book any sort of travel or accommodation properly unless you're willing to risk it until you know that the fixtures are definitely confirmed and gone through all the televised procedures and everything. So, yeah, I don't like it, but it's the way that it is. They just always get moved these days, and they're not bothered about the travelling fans or even the home fans half the time. It's just about when they can put the game on so it can be broadcast at a good time in America and China and whatever. So, you know.
Yeah. So just to recap, so Newcastle away will still be on the 13th September, 3 p.m. Leeds at home, Saturday the 20th will be 3 p.m. Everton, as we just said, in the Carabao Cup on Tuesday the 23rd of September, 7:45, Sky Sports Plus, and Tottenham away has been moved to 8 p.m. on the Saturday, and that is on Sky Sports as well. Let's have a look if you've got any questions.
Well, that's a good shout. I love that straight away.
I have to find that. I wonder if Jeff Shee watches all these podcasts. That says Darren. I imagine. Did he say, Harry, in an interview that he sort of watched fan media?
So he has. I can't remember if he said it publicly, but I do know. I can't remember who told me. He does watch YouTube channels. What he used to, whether he does now, I don't. Like back in the day when it was positive, he did. He's aware of Wolves in general. The Wolves like social media team and their people, they watch everything. Like you could have like 4 followers on TikTok. If you speak about Wolves, they'll be aware of it. They write everyone down, they get them into categories and all that. So I know that, but Jeff Shee himself, probably not anymore because a lot of it's abuse in it, but I know he used to.
Random question. Jack, do you also own a 1998 away shirt, or is that in my head? Says Max. Do you own a 1998 away shirt?
I don't know. I've got a couple of old ones knocking about that I wear from time to time. This is a replica. It's not an original. This is one of the
they're getting they're getting the older ones are getting a bit tighter, aren't they? For some reason, they must be shrinking, Jack. Paul has got actually a question that I genuinely want to know the answer to. Why have we got no players coming through the ranks? This is what I was saying earlier on the week. What's the point of us having an academy when none of them, bar you'd say Morgan Gibbs-White, and that's like 4 years ago, is making any impact? Why is it, Harry? Where are all the decent players? We're meant to have a Category A academy. We're supposed to be like bringing the best of the bunch, and where are they?
I'm going to say you're wrong because Matthias Mane is breaking through. He's just signed a pro deal. He had a really good game. He had a really good game for the under-23s. He come on against Brighton towards the end of last season. And he's knocking on the door, and he's going to keep us up. He's going to get into the starting 11 and keep us up this season. So, no, Matthias Mane is probably the only one. Could you count Chiraiwa? He's in the squad. He had to play under Gary O'Neill in that crisis period. They're not Gibbs-White level, don't get me wrong. But yeah, in terms of an actual star who has gone on to be incredible, it's Morgan Gibbs-White, isn't it, of recent times. He was very unlucky, Gibbs-White, because he'd come into the team under Nuno that had fantastic players in his positions and he just couldn't really get enough game time. But I think Matthias Mane, he's only, he just turned 18? I don't even know if he turned 18 yet. Again, look out for him in a few years. I think he had a lot of Premier League clubs wanting to sign him now. So that's why Wolves pinned him down to a pro deal. So to answer your question, he's probably the only one. And Chiraiwa, but I don't think he's going to be breaking into the first team.
It's not good enough, though, is it, Jack? You know, you're expecting these. They must spend millions and millions of pounds on these academies and sending players out on loan and trying to grow them. And we're just getting nothing for them.
Well, it's one of those, isn't it? Because I think if you can just develop one half decent player and you can sell them for a few $100,000, and even if they end up playing in League Two, then that probably pays for a lot of the development of the ones who didn't quite make it. I don't know if you know about this, and I don't know if it's true or not, but I was talking to a bloke when I was on holiday in Portugal, and he said that Wolves actually have a presence over there for their academy, and they have sort of a Portuguese arm of. He said at one point there was the training pitch there, and it was like the Porto Academy. They went off, and then the next booking was the Wolves one. So I don't know how true this is, but apparently there's a scouting sort of presence set up in Portugal, which is related to Wolves. But sense check that it was a bloke in a pub. I don't know, but I'm not saying it's gospel, but apparently that's true. So, but this is how it works now with academies, isn't it? Because like everyone just tries to swipe at each other's best young talents anyway, don't they? And it's not necessarily the days of having probably a player that you get in local and he stays there. You know, like a Steven Gerrard or something, all the way up until he breaks into the first team. It probably doesn't happen as much because I think there's much more movement around, even at this lower level. And we've done it. We've done it with players. We've signed. You've seen stories about we signed this player from 14-year-old from Man United or from whatever it might be. So I don't know, but ultimately, our academy, I know it was like had the best rating or something for a while, but has it produced anything that good in a long time? I don't think so either. I think I'm with the comments.
Michael says, will you still be doing this podcast in the Championship?
Yeah, of course we will. We'll have about 4 watchers, but yeah. No, I think we'll be all happy then because we'll be winning every other week, won't we? So, and there's what this lad's just said, JS96. I'll get it up. There's no VAR, so the Championship ain't too bad. But he's asked a question, hasn't he? What's he put?
Which upcoming game will get screwed by VAR? We're overdue a howler. What do you think will come first, a howler VAR or us to get a penalty?
Well, we've had arguably a couple of mini howlers. The Santi Bueno studs to the leg against Bournemouth, and obviously the Rodrigo Gomez penalty shot. They're not mad, but they're questionable. So we've already had a couple, but we're due a howler. Was it last season or the season before, the O'Neill era? We had some horrendous ones go against us, didn't we? Like very bad.
Neil says, will you do a podcast in League One?
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be unlike us to do a double relegation.
We did a podcast about League One, didn't we, in lockdown?
We did. Yeah, we did. Yeah, the 13-14 season?
Yeah, well, apart from the Europa League season, it's got to be up there, one of my top 3 favourite ever seasons following Wolves that season. So.
It was good fun. You shared that picture the other day. It was you or Seb, Harry, of us all sat at Port Vale away 12 years ago. It was.
We look about 6 on their pitch. Yeah. We look about 10. I think we were about 21 at the time. That's about right, isn't it? Yeah, about early 20s. Oh, God.
Wolves V says, this is only Wolves' 12th season in the top flight in the last 42 years. We are a Championship club anyway. That's probably a fair shout. I think Darren made a comment about what would it take for fans to protest against Facebook. Yeah. Do you think that would happen?
Go on, Jack.
I was just going to say, I mean, there's already whispers of discontent, isn't there? Because it's been going on for a couple of years, really. There's chants that go around, of calling out Jeff Shee. So I think it is bubbling away, definitely. And I think it's all about the results, isn't it? It's a fickle business. But if we do come back after the international break and win a few, then it'll all be forgotten temporarily until the next transfer window. But if we don't, and if we think that the players that we brought in aren't up to scratch and the players that are already here aren't performing, then ultimately I think that Jeff Shee is going to be the target of a lot more abuse, and Vitor's got a bit of a pass, really, because I don't think it's his fault.
Yeah, there's murmurs that the Leeds game could have a few songs sang, but people make the argument that because the price has been risen so high, we've lost a lot of the nutters, really. You remember when we got relegated down the double dip and they were on the pitch kicking the shit out of the subs bench and that? I don't think we're going to see anything like that, but I think there'll be a few songs. There's always that I don't care about Jeff Shee every now and then, and they're at home and away games. There's a few chants of back the team or sell the club. I remember towards the end of last season, but I think what Folkestone and Jeff Shee want, they want the anger to be directed at the manager so they can just sack him and blame him like with O'Neill. But I think they've lost that luxury now. I think it'll all be aimed at them. It'll be aimed at them because Vitor's got a good connection with the fans despite the poor start to the season because of being in the pub.
And he came in and worked an absolute miracle. He didn't have any different players really to work with. I know a couple of additions in January, such as Agbadu, and came good eventually, but you can't just have someone do what he did and then 6 months later go, well, it's that bloke's fault that saved us, even though that we've asset stripped essentially for the last certainly 3 seasons and that steady decline anyway. Enjoy the international break. Will anybody be watching the England game? Is it Andorra? I can't even think who it is at the weekend.
Cares?
Nobody cares.
Bigger game the weekend. Bigger game, Sam. Bigger game.
Bigger game with the charity game. I think there are tickets still available if you do want in. It is at Compton. It all kicks off at 10 a.m. on Saturday morning. Whose group are we in, Harry? It's all we're too busy training.
Yeah, we're in Group 2. We've got Wolves Report, the 2 newcomers, Walsall Fan TV and Spurs, Wolfpack, and the other one slips my mind. But yeah, I don't know if we're going to make the final again. But as you say, you can donate to the Just Giving page, which you'll find on Dazzling Dave's page. £5 if you want to come and watch. The level of football is astounding. Like, it's incredibly high level. So you'll be getting your money's worth. There is a clip of us on our Twitter, if you scroll down a bit, of us falling over the ball the first year.
It's safe to say you'll be shocked. You will be shocked by the quality of football that will be on offer for it. Right, okay. Well, look, let's leave it for another week. We'll say goodbye to Harry Mansell.
See ya.
And Jack Williams.
Goodbye, everybody.
And it's a goodbye from me. Goodbye.